Hello, I'm Fiona from Sensory Solutions. I'm one of the witches, and I'm going to talk to you a bit this morning about making a decoction for coughs. We've got a little bit of coughing going on in our family, so I'm making up a brew this morning. I thought I'd share with you what I'm doing. We've got a 9-month-old baby, so for him, when he's coughing or feeling a bit wheezy, I use this. This is the marshmallow root. Marshmallow's in its own family. It's lovely pink delicate flowers. We do have a common mallow that you see a lot. Marshmallow's got softer leaves, still delicate pink flowers. It's very beautiful and flouncy. When you chew a little bit of marshmallow root, you get a really, what we call mucilaginous, which basically means slimy consistency, and it helps to coat and soothe and soften all the tissues in the lungs. I'm really happy using this with kids, babies. It's one of my staple herbs. So for him, I would just make up a pure brew of this and give him teaspoons of it. And then I would drink, because I'm still nursing, something a little bit stronger, like some elecampane, which we'll talk about in a little while. So to start with, I'm just going to put a pinch of the marshmallow into a pan. I'm going to make a decoction this morning, and that means to actually boil the herbs up, which is the preferred method for using roots, to extract all of the lovely goodness out of them. So there's a good pinch of the marshmallow root gone into the pan. Just mentioned the elecampane. This is part of the daisy family, and it's amazing. It smells like Parma violets. It's such an individual smell and taste. It's also a really amazing digestive herb. It's got a lot of bitterness in it. And there's been trials done on this for MRSA and antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So it's a really powerful one to use. If a cough seems to be going into a chest infection, then I always put a little bit of this in. You really need a tiny amount, especially if you're making it for kids. I'm going to give a cup of this to my 3-year-old. So I'm literally just going to put in about 5 or 6 good sized pieces. This came from some field work we were doing in Dorset. We harvested a big lump of it. You don't find it really commonly in the wild, but when it does start growing, it likes to divide with a rhizome root. You do get a lot of it. I've planted some in my garden for next year. So that's the elecampane, Latin name inula. And I'm also going to put in a little bit of licorice. Now licorice is a funny one because you're warned against it if you've got high blood pressure. And also I've noticed that in my daughter, if I use it for up to a couple of weeks, it can increase things like nosebleeds, which she's a little bit prone to anyway. So it's one that you just use for a few days, really. And in Chinese medicine, licorice is used as the great unifier of herbs. It really blends all your other herbs together and helps get the best out of their qualities. But it's also got that sweetness that a lot of roots have got, which means that it's nourishing you. It helps to keep your own levels of cortisol, so the stress hormones, in your system for longer. So it's really good for long-term inflammation in the system. It's so sweet. It's actually sweeter than sugar. And when you taste a sweet flavour, you know that something's getting tonified. So licorice is good for helping build back up your adrenal glands, and it's really good as an antiviral. You need hardly any of the licorice again. So I've just put in a really small pinch. So I've got mainly marshmallow root, a little bit of inula and some licorice. And to make a decoction, you pour on the water. I've already heated this, but you don't need to. So I've got about 3 small cupfuls, 2 mugfuls, to those small pinches that are made in there. I'm going to turn this on and just let that simmer away. I've just taken out of my mouth all of the tasteless threads that are now left from the roots that I just chewed there. So that is another way that you can get the roots in you. Herbalists used to be called the root doctors because roots are a brilliant way of preserving herbs, and they keep long, roots do, so you can wear them in pouches, take them in a bag is how they used to do it, and go around with their roots. They degrade a lot less and they're a lot less prone to mould and things than leaf herbs. So roots are really useful, and they're really earthing, they're really grounded. When you're full of coughs and you're feeling like you just want to snuggle up on the sofa, having a rooty tea is a really nice one to have. So while that's coming to boil, we're going to simmer it gently for a few minutes. While that's happening, I just want to tell you about a few other things that I like to use. I use a lot of essential oils, especially in the kids' bedroom, but anywhere in the house when there's any infection or coughs going on. This is like an atomizer pump that we just got. So you just put the water and the essential oils inside here and it goes and squirts out the steam full of all the essential oils. It's a really quick and safe way of getting them into the environment. It plugs in here. It's got a little night light in it as well, which my daughter loves. But it just means that you don't have to leave a candle on. This is a standard oil burner where you just put a little bit of water in the top, a candle, a night light in the side and light it. Keep the water topped up. You've got to be on it with keeping the water topped up. And if you're nervous about leaving a candle on in a kid's bedroom, you know, if they woke up and knocked it, then this option is much better. So I always like to use something clearing, so eucalyptus is a really good one. I've got clove oil here, and I always like to balance that with something that's really relaxing for them. So I pretty much always use a drop of lavender, and that goes for everyone in the house. You know, this is a lovely blend using something like eucalyptus, clove and lavender to burn in your house when everyone's ill, just to keep the air nice and clean, keep a lovely smell, because people can smell funny when they're ill. This is something else that we use. This is our Akees balm, which we make from horseradish, comfrey and heather. And it is actually for aching joints specifically, but we put rosemary and peppermint essential oils in as well, and it makes a great chest rub. If you're using it on the kids, we tend to put it on their feet. And horseradish has got this amazing principle. It's got all of the mustard oils in them. And the mustard oils travel through the bloodstream and they are actually excreted via the lungs. So you've got this brilliant antiseptic properties coming through the lungs. It works really well just rubbing a little bit on your kids' feet, pulling their socks on when they go into bed. If they don't let you, you can always do it once they sleep as well. Just rub a tiny bit of that in. Once it's made up, a really nice way to drink it is not with vodka, but with elderberry syrup. This one's been made out of apple concentrate, so there's no sugar in it. And I'm going to make a cup of this for my 3-year-old in one of these beakers. So basically what I'm going to do is pour a little dash of elderberry syrup, made this winter. A little bit of that. A squeeze of lemon. Get the tip out. Little squeeze of lemon. Loads of vitamin C. Really alkalising for the system. A lot of disease can set in when your system's a bit acidic. Lemon's even though it's a citrus fruit, it actually alkalizes the system, so it's a really good one to use. Get a cup out for me. My daughter's is actually really good at drinking teas because I've always given her chamomile tea and things from being very small. She does like just a warm tea in a cup like this. It's her specialty. But when there's coughs going around, it is nice to use the elderberry syrup. It's sweet, it's nourishing, full of vitamin C. It's got that added quality where it helps you to sweat and push things out. So I think that's a really good one to use as well. Just going to get the strainer for when our tea's ready. So this is just gently simmering the tea here, and you want to leave this, depending on how strong you're making it, who you're making it for. Often what I do is make up a strong batch of it, so let it simmer for about 10 minutes, and then I pour a small amount into my daughter's cup and top it up with water, and have a full strength cup of tea for myself. That's an easy way of juggling it if you're making a whole load for your family. So that's really starting to boil now, so I'm going to turn it down slightly so it's just simmering, because we don't want too much heat in there, we don't want to destroy any of the lovely properties of it. And then I'll pour that into the cup through the sieve, and she can drink this smaller cup and I'll drink the bigger one. Inula, the elecampane root, has got this amazing quality whereby if you leave it for a few hours once it's brewed, it goes a deep cobalt blue. I've never seen anything like it. Almost like that beautiful colour you get around copper when it's denaturing. But just when it's first boiled, it just stays this nice yellowy, creamy brown colour. So there's our decoction done. I'm going to get a jug out to make this easier to pour. So pour it into a jug, and so you can see the colour of it. So there's our decoction. It smells sweet, it smells of licorice. Hasn't gone that cobalt blue colour yet, but it will. So first of all, I'll just pour half a cup into my daughter's cup, and I'm going to top that up with water so she can drink it straight away. And the rest I'm going to drink as a decoction. I am breastfeeding at the moment, so my son is going to get this. I won't overdo it with the licorice because of that. It's got estrogenic properties. It's in the pea family. A lot of pea family has phytoestrogens in them. So I don't want to overdo the licorice, but he's got a bit of a cough, I've got a bit of a cough. So I'm going to have 1 or 2 cups a day of this just to help us all. So there's Lily's cup. So elderberry syrup, half a cup of inula, licorice and marshmallow tea, a squeeze of lemon topped up with water, and there's a delicious, warming, lovely winter drink for your coughs. So I'm Fiona, one of the witches from Sensory Solutions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.